Hi everyone, it was not the best looking Friday in the world, but we expect lots more sunshine as we head into the weekend. Cold mornings Saturday and Sunday will be in the 20s, but by Saturday afternoon, hardly a cloud in the sky, sending temperatures up into the upper 30s. With a clear sky, we'll retreat to the 20s once again Saturday night into Sunday morning, but Sunday afternoon noticeably warmer than Saturday afternoon with a veil of high clouds around. We'll get well up into the 40s, perhaps even 50 or so by the end of the day. 21 News starts right now.
Coming up on 21 News, folks in East Palestine attend a special mass. Residents share what they're thankful for as they return to normal after the train derailment.
Railroad unions are calling for changes to safety guidelines, why they say last Friday's train derailment is the final straw.
And another high-altitude object was shot down by a fighter jet today over Alaska. How investigators are comparing it to the Chinese balloon that was shot down last week.
Locally owned, locally connected. This is 21 News, 11 p.m.
Good evening. Thank you for choosing 21 News. As the 4,700 people of East Palestine slowly get their lives back to normal, some of them came together in celebration tonight.
Parishioners at Our Lady of Lourdes Church held a service marking the Feast of Thanksgiving with a great deal to be thankful for.
21's Chris Cerenelli was there. He joins us now with the story. Chris?
Erin and Derek, good evening. Yeah, it's been exactly 1 week since that train disaster turned the village of East Palestine upside down. Tonight's service carried a theme of gratitude, and it showed in more ways than one. For the village of East Palestine, this Friday and last Friday have been night and day. For the parishioners at Our Lady of Lourdes Church,
for our deliverance from distress, in Christ our Lord. Amen.
Their distress has given way to praise.
It is truly right and just and our duty and our salvation always and everywhere to give you thanks.
Last weekend, the train disaster placed Our Lady of Lourdes squarely in the evacuation zone, canceling services. This weekend, the church celebrates the Feast of Thanksgiving. For Sonia Early,
oh, how fitting.
A celebration that now carries extraordinary meaning.
I'm thankful I got all my animals out. I had to evacuate 11 horses, 2 dogs, and a bird. My son was home by himself, so we're blessed.
The hand of God, the finger of God sometimes just, it was there present for us. You know, that there was no one killed, that there's no loss of life, and the damage and property and everything, that all can be replaced.
Among the many things that the parishioners here at Our Lady of Lourdes are thankful for, donations, scores of them, everything from food and diapers to cleaning supplies, all coming over the last several days, and they tell me more are on the way.
The giftedness of this small town are how people come together.
Which they'll do at another feast day mass Sunday morning, a celebration of praise and the mark of a new beginning. In East Palestine, with more local news, I'm Chris Cerenelli.
Tonight marks 1 week since the train derailment in East Palestine. Now, fire crews around the Mahoning and Shenango valleys came together to assist the East Palestine Fire Department in the aftermath this past week. Now, East Palestine Fire Chief told us hundreds of thousands of their fire equipment is damaged or even ruined after they were contaminated by the fire and controlled burn. I spoke with other surrounding fire departments, including Salem, New Waterford, and Negley tonight. They've bagged up their contaminated gear, and they're awaiting for the manufacturer's recommendations to see what's able to be saved. Departments explain the cost of turnout gear comes in at about $4,000 per person, so potentially replacing all of this gear could come at a major cost.
How much will it cost to get this equipment replaced?
I couldn't even begin to tell you. Several $100,000 in air packs, enough to get us through at this point. I placed that order today because I have to have breathing apparatus for my men.
New Waterford Fire Chief told me he hopes Norfolk Southern foots the cost of replacing all of these items.
We learned East Palestine police are looking into reports of someone or multiple people going door to door pretending to represent Norfolk Southern and asking for personal information. Police say if you are contacted by anyone from the railroad company to contact the number on your screen. We also have that number and the one for Norfolk Southern's up on the 21 News app. Now, this all comes as a 5th lawsuit has been filed against Norfolk Southern. It alleges that people who live within 30 miles of the derailment should be allowed to take legal action. A map filed with the complaint shows a 30-mile radius that includes communities through our 5-county viewing area, reaching up to Niles, even all the way to Sharon and Hermitage. Norfolk Southern has yet to respond to any of the lawsuits.
After last week's train derailment, a coalition of 37 transportation unions is calling for greater federal oversight of freight rail operations. I spoke with the head of this coalition about what they're asking for and why they say the scene in East Palestine was the final straw.
Frankly, I'm not entirely shocked that something like this happened.
Rail unions are sounding the alarm.
In many ways, given the length of these systems, of these train systems, and the abundance of different types of cargo that's being hauled, it's kind of luck of the draw when about where the incident happens.
The event's happening in East Palestine, leading the Transportation Trades Department of the AFL-CIO to call for tighter safety guidelines for freight rail operations, calling to implement a confidential close call reporting system.
Knowing, with our experience also representing aviation workers, how valuable that can be to identifying risks before they become catastrophic.
The program essentially allows rail workers to anonymously report close call safety incidents without fear of repercussion. None of the Class 1 railroad employers are currently in the program.
So you're suppressing potentially valuable information by not participating in this program.
While Reagan does not know the details of how the East Palestine train derailment could have been prevented, he adds the reporting system would be a tool to keep workers safe and avoid accidents.
Anytime there is an accident like this, there is going to be an instinct from regulators and from policymakers to act, to do something.
Reagan added topics like fatigue, staffing levels, and attendance policies are rail union topics that still need addressed nationwide.
In more local news, the father of a 4-month-old boy who died in a Lisbon motel has been sentenced to prison. 30-year-old Aaron Dello of Negley was sentenced to 2 years behind bars. Dello's son Dallas died on New Year's Day in 2018. The coroner says the death was ruled a sudden, unexplained infant death stemming from an unsafe sleep arrangement. 2 of the 3 suspects charged in the deadly fire that killed a 16-year-old Warren girl were in court today. Patricia Zarlingo is charged with a total of 8 felony counts, including aggravated murder. She's accused of being a principal actor in connection to the arson in Warren that caused the death of 16-year-old Chastity Broadstone. Now, Zarlingo is being held without bond in Trumbull County Jail. Brendan Davidoff and Zachary Gerd are also charged, indicted on 2 counts of aggravated murder. The death penalty is a possibility if they're convicted. Trial is set for March 1st.
A Boardman man reported missing on Thursday was hit and killed by a car last night. Troopers say 88-year-old James DeTallo was walking along State Route 7 in Vernon Township when he stopped in the northbound lane and was hit by a driver in a Toyota Camry. An endangered missing adult alert went out for him after he drove away from his Aquadale home around 5 last night. The driver in the Camry was not hurt. A South Range school bus driver was hospitalized after a deer came crashing through the bus windshield early this morning. This happened just before 7 o'clock along Route 165 near Lisbon Road. The deer was struck so hard the steering wheel was bent and the deer later died. The driver was wearing a seatbelt and is being treated for several cuts. Troopers say no students were on board at the time. All right, what's our weekend weather like? Here's Eric now.
Should be a pretty quiet weekend weather-wise, and it's going to be generally sunny afternoons tomorrow and into Sunday. Today's big story, of course, was the cooler weather, and compared to the same time last night, 15 degrees cooler. We'll end up in the mid-20s overnight tonight. Right now in the 11 o'clock hour, we're still above the freezing mark in most spots. 36 in Youngstown, 33 up in Mesopotamia, 33 down in Hanoverton. Mercer at 34 degrees, but again, mid-20s to start, but lots of sunshine should warm us up to about 40 or so in the afternoon. We'll do 10 degrees better on Sunday. This warming trend that starts over the weekend does not peak until the middle of next week, just like yesterday. We have some 60s in our forecast next week. Derek?
All right, pretty incredible. Thanks, Eric. An object about the size of a small car was spotted high above Alaska and shot down. How this object compares to the Chinese balloon that was seen over South Carolina earlier last week.
Plus, if you're in need of a place to catch the big game this Sunday, we may have you covered. After the break, we'll show you the new restaurant, bar, and sports book in Austintown. After the U.S. government shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon, President Joe Biden ordered the downing of another high-altitude object over Alaska on Friday.
Yeah, now investigators are looking to see what's similar and what's different about these 2 incidents and what it may mean for national security. President Joe Biden calling the downing of a high-altitude object over Alaska a success. The latest incident comes less than a week since a suspected Chinese spy balloon that flew above the U.S. was also shot down. Government officials now working to determine the capabilities and purpose of this latest object and where it may have come from.
We don't know the origin of the object.
Whether it's state-owned or corporate-owned or privately owned, we just don't know.
What is known about this object very deliberately not being characterized as a balloon at this point is the government says it learned about it Thursday evening.
The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight.
President Biden ordered it shot down at 1:45 Eastern Time Friday afternoon. An F-22 fighter jet did so over northeastern Alaska, close to Canada. It may sound similar to the suspected Chinese spy balloon shot down Saturday off the coast of South Carolina, but officials say there are differences.
The object was about the size of a small car, so not similar in size or shape to the high-altitude surveillance balloon that was taken down off the coast of South Carolina on February 4.
The U.S. expects to recover debris from this latest incident as the recovery effort for the balloon downed last week continues, with wreckage under FBI scrutiny at Quantico.
The FBI searched former Vice President Mike Pence's Indiana home today and found one more classified document. Now, 6 additional pages without classified markings were also located. A senior law enforcement official says that today was the negotiated day for the search, which lasted about 5 hours. Pence says he recently found a, quote, small number of documents in his house in Carmel and reported the findings to federal authorities. That led to today's search by the FBI.
Just in time for the Super Bowl, a brand new restaurant, bar, and sportsbook officially opened at the Racino in Austintown. The Barstool Sportsbook restaurant puts the emphasis on sports gambling. The completely renovated space gives your classic sports bar a new meaning. You won't miss a score as you dine and bet with 2 massive 14 by 8 foot video walls that can show views of 18 different sporting events at once. On top of the sights and sounds, there's new additions to the menu, from salmon and steak to some traditional favorites, and they're expecting quite the crowd for the big game.
We're very excited. So far, we've been taking bets since January 1st, and it's been wonderful. This weekend's going to be off the chains. It's going to be very busy, which is exciting for our team members and for the community.
Racino says that they'll have every sports package available this weekend, including boxing. They recommend making reservations if you want to get a seat in the sports book. All right, after a cooler day, we're going to warm up a little bit this weekend, see some more sunshine, and then, yeah, back to the 50s, maybe even some more 60s. Eric's coming back with your forecast next.
This Storm Tracker Storm Cam is brought to you by Tom Duma Jewelers. Diamonds and Dinners Valentine's promotion going on now.
Well, today's certainly a colder day, but the winter as a whole, of course, has been much warmer than the average, not only here locally, but in much of the U.S. east of the Rockies into New England. Even a good chunk of Canada has been warmer than the average. This was not necessarily how we expected this winter to play out. So what's going on here? I think there are a couple things at play. La Nina, the cooling of the waters across the equatorial Pacific. Well, not all the La Ninas are equal. They have some differences, and a central-based La Nina tends to result in warmer temperatures than an eastern-based La Nina. In other words, the pool of coldest waters over the east or the central Pacific does make a difference. The winter started with an east-based La Nina, but I do think that it has shifted to a central-based, and that may have something to do with how warm it has been in so many places. I do think that the atmospheric rivers that were in the news a couple of months ago, especially December into January, storm after storm kept plowing into the western U.S. Well, that flooded the country with Pacific air rather than Arctic air, and that can mean that, of course, temperatures stay above the average. While we can't directly attribute the warm weather this winter to climate change, it can be said that while there will always be cold and snowy winters, the kind of winter that we're having right now, it becomes more and more common in a warmer climate. All right, we have a partly cloudy sky overhead this evening, and the sky will continue to clear gradually as we head through the overnight, allowing temperatures to end up in the middle 20s. So you'll need that winter jacket tomorrow morning, 24 on average. But you'll also need the sunglasses tomorrow because it'll be bright and sunny by the midday and afternoon hours. Looking really nice outside, and temperatures about what you would expect at this time of the year. It'll be a seasonable Saturday. The last time we'll say that for about a week, because temperatures tomorrow will get up into the upper 30s to around 40. 38 is par for the course at this time of the year. And despite a cold start on Sunday, I do think it'll be about 10 degrees warmer on Sunday. In the meantime, this storm system stays well to our south. It'll bring some snow to the mountainous areas of Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, even some flakes down into Alabama and Georgia as well. But for us, just a veil of cirrus clouds from that system on Sunday. And Monday, this front comes through with little fanfare. We're not expecting any wet weather with that. In fact, look how far above the average the temperatures will be by midweek. Wednesday and Thursday, 27 degrees warmer than average puts us back in the 60s, just like yesterday. And just like yesterday, I don't think we'll be in record territory, but of course, that's way, way above the average, and it's going to last a few days, a couple of beautiful days, in fact, for Valentine's Day and into Wednesday. Pretty decent chance for rain on Thursday, it looks like, and then just like this week, a big cool down for next Friday. So a week from today, pretty much a carbon copy of today. We'll be in the 30s, probably a couple of flurries around, a gusty breeze, but until next Friday, wow, what a week next week.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to all the sun, too, I see in the 7-day. That's nice, too.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Thanks, Eric.
Sure.
Up next, Night to Shine was held in person for the first time since the beginning of the pandemic. How this event gives people with special needs and their families a chance to party.
Plus, if you're expecting gifts this Valentine's Day, don't be surprised if your partner may find other ways to express their love. With inflation still affecting prices, many couples are skipping the holiday completely. Stay with us.
Tonight, people with special needs were crowned across the globe at the annual Night to Shine event. About 77 guests attended the prom at Wildair Church in Cortland. Every Friday before Valentine's Day, guests roll up in limousines, make their way down the red carpet, and dance. Tonight's event was the first in-person event that the Champion Township Church has been able to host since before the pandemic.
It's been amazing. They have been wanting this and needing this. This night is 100% about them, and it's just the night they come and they're celebrated and they're loved, and the people from this church and community just want to show them how special they are and how important they are and how God loves them and that they were made just in the image of God, and this is all about them.
Always a great night, and while groups can receive grants from the Tim Tebow Foundation, Wildair Church has self-funded this event every year. This weekend, Boardman Park is hosting a special opportunity for fathers and daughters to bond and make some memories. A series of father-daughter dances kicked off tonight with more dates throughout this month of love. 4 out of 5 dances are sold out. About 55 pairs are coming out to dance, take pictures, and participate in a rose ceremony. The dance being held Sunday, February 19th, still has some openings. You can register for the dance at boardmanpark.com.
Sunday's big game isn't the only thing to celebrate next week. Next Tuesday is, of course, Valentine's Day, but persistent inflation rates are causing people to consider skipping the love-themed holiday altogether. A recent Trustpilot survey revealed love is hardly in the budget for many Americans. 66% are planning to spend less on Valentine's Day gifts due to inflation. Now, the owner of Bistro 1907 says he's feeling the pinch as menu prices increased by 10% since last year, meaning your V-Day dinner bill might be a little higher than expected.
I think all of us, for the most part, have agreed we've had to pass some of those costs on to the guests. We can't absorb them all. It's just impossible.
And it's not just restaurants facing Valentine's Day inflation disruptions. Chocolates are 12% more expensive. Greeting cards, stationery supplies, and gift wrap jumped 16.4% compared to last year. And local florists say the cost of roses spiked 40% since the start of the pandemic. Next up on 21 Sports, a big night from Dwayne Cohill lifted the Penguins past Purdue Fort Wayne. Highlights and more after the break. Good evening, everyone. The YSU men's basketball team reached 20 wins on the season for the first time since 1997. Dwayne Cohill dropped 33 points to lead the Penguins past Purdue Fort Wayne. Let's take you out to Indiana and check this one out. And we pick it up in the first half. The Dons up 13-12. Bryce McBride dumps it off to Malik Green, and he's going to go up strong for the lay-in. YSU back up 1. Later in the first, the Dons back up 1 at this point. Brandon Rush takes it to the rack. He had 12 points tonight. The Penguins would regain the lead. Couple of minutes later, Adrian Nelson is going to take it in for the bucket. He had 15 tonight. YSU up 3, and then time winding down in the first. It's who else? Dwayne Cohill. He's going to bury one from the top of the key. YSU up 31-25 at the half. We go to the second half now and check out Cohill. To the house here, plus the foul. YSU goes on to get the win, 81-72. It's their 5th straight win. They go to 20-6 overall, 12-3 in conference. Well, the Struthers and Columbiana boys met up for the first time since 2019. In our Five Guys Hoop News, the Wildcats won big over the Clippers, putting an end to their 3-game winning streak. Let's take you over to the Struthers Field House, one of my favorite venues in the area. Pick it up in the first quarter, and Chance Lasco is going to get Struthers on the board first with the lay-in. And the Wildcats defense came to play tonight. Get the steal here, and Nick Delgrada is going to finish with the slam. Big night for him with 25 points, but the Clippers would get on the board here. Ian Less is going to hit the 3 to end the Struthers run. Columbiana down 4, Less 14 in this one, and then it's Devin Darty. He's going to take it in for the lay-in. That cuts the deficit to 5, but it was all Wildcats tonight. Chazzy Koniak is going to hit the catch and shoot 3 here. Struthers goes on to get the win, 65-44. And from there, we take you to Boardman. The Spartans hosting Warren Harding tonight. We pick this one up in the 3rd quarter, and Nico Holska is going to get the layup to go here. The basket and the foul. Boardman trailing by 2. More Spartans. Antoine White gets the steal, and he's going to convert on the fast break layup. Boardman cuts the deficit to 3 later. It's going to be Jacob Lawrence for Harding. It's going to pull up and knock down the mid-range jumper. Harding up 5. We go to the 4th quarter now, and Khalil Williams is going to get it inside here. Gets the basket and the foul. The Raiders up 7, but the Spartans would respond at the other end. Brady Petro gets the layup to go. Boardman gets within 3 late in the 4th, but it was Harding's night tonight. Chaz Coleman with the slam there. Harding goes on to win 50-42. They secure the AAC conference. Well, South Range football coach Dan Yeagley is going out a winner. After leading the Raiders to the Division V state championship, the veteran coach is stepping aside after 28 seasons. He was 248-75 over that span with 2 state semifinals appearances in 2017 and 2005. Yeagley led his team to a 25-2 record in the Northeast states, including a current 20-game winning streak. The Raiders' only 2 losses in the NEH were in 2019 against Poland and Niles. Yeagley's 2022 team became the first to have a 16-0 record. He'll be inducted into the Ohio Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame in June. And according to reports, Browns owners Jimmy and Dee Haslam are in talks to buy a minority stake in the NBA's Milwaukee Bucks. The Haslams are seeking the 25% share currently held by Mark Lasry. There's no timetable on an agreement or a sale. And we finish up with Tiger Woods. He announced on social media that he is returning to competitive golf next week. The Genesis Invitational will mark the first start for the 47-year-old since the Open Championship last July. It will also be his first PGA Tour event since October 2020. The Genesis Invitational runs from February 16th through the 19th at the Riviera Country Club in California. That's a look at sports tonight. We'll be right back. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. For more local news, weather, and sports, also any breaking news, log on to WFMJ.com.
The Tonight Show is up next. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. See you back here on Monday.